Did you know that it cost almost $1 billion to carve the four presidents' faces into Mount Rushmore? Mount Rushmore is located in Dakota. It's possibly one of the most famous landmarks in the world. The four presidents' heads have made history with their iconic carvings. But who decided to create this monumental work and why? Here are the 17 mind-blowing facts about Mount Rushmore that you should know. Fact number 1. Dynamite was used to remove the excess rock. When you want to sculpt into a face, hammers and chisels will take you a very long time. A total of 90% of the granite that needed removing was done by dynamite. Now this might seem a bit extreme, but dynamite was the most effective and the quickest way to get rid of unwanted granite. Gutzon Borglum, the head sculptor, decided to get a munitions expert on the team to help plan where the dynamite should be placed. The expert marked out where to drill holes for the explosives to be placed. The dynamite was always set off when the workers were off-site. Fact number 2. Around 450,000 tons of granite was needed to be removed. Now scaffolding was set up for the workers to carve the sculpture into the rock face. Hosts were also set up with chairs attached to a 0.95 cm steel cable from which the workers would be lowered to chisel and carve out the faces. Jackhammers, chisels, dynamites and drills were carried with them so that they could use whichever method was necessary for the part they were working on. Now if the sculptures were full-bodied instead of just heads, then the presidents would stand around 465 feet, which is 141 meters tall. Fact number 3. There are 4 presidents carved into Mount Rushmore. Now Presidents George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt and Abraham Lincoln were chosen as they all played essential parts in turning the USA into what it is today. As the first president of US, George Washington was chosen because of his fight for American independence in the Revolutionary War. Thomas Jefferson was a firm believer in democracy, and this was significant in creating America. Theodore Roosevelt was selected as he was seen as a world leader and highly influential president. The fourth and the final president, Abraham Lincoln, was chosen for the part in abolishing slavery in the United States. Fact number 4. Mount Rushmore took 14 years to sculpt. The project was approved in March 1925, but work didn't begin until October 1927. Because the sculptors would sit 60 feet, which is 18.28 meters high, much preparation was needed to start the construction. The task was epic, and sculptor Gutzon Borglum knew it would take many years due to the scale. The main reason why the project finished 14 years after the construction in 1941 was because of funding issues. A lack of fund meant that added features could not be done, so the project was concluded once the heads were completed. Fact number 5. Various collectible memorabilia has been credited for Mount Rushmore. To commemorate the birthdays of Mount Rushmore, the US Post Office made one-off stamps to celebrate 25 years since the project was started on August 11, 1952. Another specialized stamp was released in 1974 to commemorate 25 years since the completion of the project. To mark the 50th anniversary in 1991, the United States Mint released a silver dollar. Fact number 6. The original artist was Gutzon Borglum. Now Borglum studied in Paris to become a sculptor and was the first American sculptor to have a piece of work brought by the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. In an interview in 1908, he expressed that monuments that we have built are not our own. He explained that they are to memorialize American achievements. He was chosen for the project as he was made famous for his work on Stone Mountain. Although this was an uncompleted project, it was a remarkable attempt that built his name and reputation. Fact number 7. Mount Rushmore underwent many design changes. The design concept went through a total of 9 different changes. Borglum's first design included text below the face sculptors. The text was going to contain a brief explanation of American history. The idea was quickly removed due to funding issues, but also because it would be challenging to condense important information and for the people to be still able to read it. Some of the original mock-ups showed the presidents from faced up, but again due to funding issues, the focus turned to just carving their heads. Another concept was actually to have a document room behind Lincoln's head, from which the visitors could enter with a carved staircase, but again you guessed it, it was due to lack of funds that the project was cut out. Fact number 8. The project was a brainchild of Jonah Robinson. Jonah Robinson was a state historian and the man behind the great idea of Mount Rushmore. The original idea behind the mountain was to bring tourism to the area. So Robinson approached the US Senator from South Dakota with the concept. The site would be situated 5,725 feet, which is 1,744 meters above the sea level, and would be located in the Black Hills. In 1929, the Congress authorized funding for the project, and as a result, President Calvin Coolidge approved it. The total cost of the project was $9,89,992 US. Fact number 9. Rushmore Peak was named after Charles Rushmore. Now you might think that the name of such important mountain had a lot of thought put into it, but it turns out it was very pretty simple. Charles Rushmore was an attorney from New York who traveled to the area of the Black Hills for business in around 1884. Upon his arrival, he asked what the peak was named. According to a local man, the peak had no name, so he suggested that it was a name on the spot after himself. Fact number 10. No one died during the building works. During the project, there were no deaths, which is very quite impressive considering how much dynamite was used. But sadly, many workers died in the coming years, mainly from a lung condition called silicosis. This was because no masks were given to workers, and with the endless dust created by carving and explosions, workers inhaled a lot. Nick Clifford, the last remaining carver who was part of the original build, died at the age of 98 in the year 2019. Fact number 11. There is a secret room inside Mount Rushmore. As the original plans stated, a special document room was to be built inside one of the heads. During the build, this didn't happen, primarily due to funding cuts. And all that was built was a 70 feet, which is 21.3 meters, tunnel built from 1938 to 1939. Almost 60 years later, a collection of records were placed at the entrance to the Hall of Records. This included a titanium vault containing a teak box with records documenting the original build. Fact number 12. Mount Rushmore is iconic in the USA. Mount Rushmore is one of the most iconic landmarks in the USA. Therefore, it has become a common feature within popular culture. It has appeared in many movies over decades, most commonly as a place of top secret information or as a secret base. The movie Team America World Police, released in 2004, used Mount Rushmore as the team's base. In 2007, the film National Treasure Book of Secrets used the location as a focal point of the movie plot, unraveling the secret gold city that lay beneath. Fact number 13. The sculptor died before the project was finished. Now, unfortunately, in March 1941, Borglum died during the construction of Mount Rushmore. Luckily, the president's faces were mostly completed by then, so Borglum's son Lincoln was able to see the project completion. Lincoln Borglum took over as the head of the construction site and was to continue as planned. But there was lack of funds for the project to continue alongside the original plans. As a result, Lincoln decided to leave the monument as it is when his father passed away, so the construction ceased in October 1941. Fact number 14. It was originally known as the Six Grandfathers. The area in which Mount Rushmore lies belongs to Lakota tribe. This ancient Native American site had many names such as Slaughterhouse Peak, Koga Mountain, but it was known to most people as Mount Rushmore. The area was once called and is still referred to by many Native Americans as the Six Grandfathers. The Six Grandfathers and the Paha Sapa, which is the Black Hills, formed over 65 million years ago, making them some of the oldest mountain formations in the world. Fact number 15. Mount Rushmore lies on stolen land. In 1868, the Treaty of Fort Laramie gave the Black Hills to the local Native Americans, the Lakota tribe. But after the Great Sioux War in 1876, the land was taken from them by the United States. This meant that the land could be used to build the monument of Mount Rushmore, as they have now owned the land to the rights. In 1971, the American Indian movement led a demonstration that claimed that the mountain back and renamed it to Mount Crazy Horse. John Fire Lame Deer, a Lakota holy man, climbed to the top of the monument and placed a sacred scarf from which he hung a symbolic shroud that covered the president's faces. Fact number 16. The weather is destroying the monument. Naturally, over time things will erode due to weathering. When Borglum was designing the monument, he accounted for this by covering the sculptures with waterproof clothing. Borglum made a sealant using linseed oil, granite dust, and white lead. But unfortunately, the weatherproof coating hasn't held up so well. As a result, the sculptures are painted with fresh sealant regularly, with a silicone-based sealant mixed with granite dust used as the most important replacement. Fact number 17. There are more than 2 million visitors annually. This iconic monument has continued to draw tourists from around the globe. In 1957, a visitor center was completed for the monument as part of Mission 66, a scheme set up by the National Park Service to improve the visitors' experience. In 1941, its first year of completion, there were 393,000 visitors. By 1957, Mount Rushmore regularly saw more than 1 million visitors yearly. The peak reached over 2 million visitors annually for the first time in 2009, and it has remained consistent since and is still on the rise. Mount Rushmore, one of the world's most fascinating landmarks, is a testament to human determination and ingenuity. If you ever have a chance to visit this magnificent monument, check out the entrance carved for the Hall of Documents and marvel at this iconic symbol of American history and democracy.